Hi guys, so I'm back. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the Lightning, more specifically, the LOCKHEED P-38 Lightning from TAMIYA. To be even more specific, it's this thing. It's model number 61120 from TAMIYA. It is a 1/48 scale model that was released last year. Yes, I'm a little bit behind, so whatever. If you are keen to see how this model goes together, you can check out this YouTube channel, Andy's Hobbies Headquarters, which he has masterfully built last year when this model came out, and you'll be satisfied. But in this video, we're gonna be taking a look inside the box and the parts and, you know, the usual. The model inside is really brand spanking new and it's really well crafted. The detail is phenomenal. The clear parts are just absolutely insane. We have beautiful decals along with two different paint types that were basically the same, just a little bit of tweaking here and there. You also get some stainless steel balls, I believe, and those are for the balancing out the aircraft so that it doesn't tip over the back because it's tail heavy and the way the landing gear is positioned. This particular model is a bit of an expensive model. It's 62 euros here in Slovenia. I've seen them go as low as 58 euros. But that all depends where you live again and if they have some sort of discount. Honestly, I don't know why TAMIYA is insisting on this one being so damn expensive, excuse my language. I mean, yes, sure, it's a brand new box and brand new parts, new tools and all that, and that takes money and time and research, and I get it. But it's still a mass production thing, so you sell it to masses. If you sell it for a little bit cheaper, you can recoup that money, I guess, but I'm not a scale model manufacturer, so, you know, go figure. But yeah, for that money, you do have a really good aircraft that goes together basically like Legos, so, you know, it's a trade-off, I guess. I like the box art, so, you know, that's another plus. It has 8 sprues that contains well over 200 parts. So, there's a lot of plastic for that. The plastic is nice and shiny and it's very firm to the touch. It's not crappy at all. There's no flash like you would expect from all TAMIYAs. And the attachment points are nice and crisp and sharp, and it's just absolutely to die for. The two special features of this plane are the two types of paint schemes, depending on which version you go, A or B. And you can display this aircraft with the cockpit open or closed. And you have two different types of cockpit interiors as well as two types of cockpit openings. One goes from the back and one goes to the side. And of course you get the pilot if you choose to put the guy inside. So, you know, there are options. So on the scale of 1 to 5, I would say that this one is around 4-ish. It's not 5 because it doesn't have any PA parts, and it's not 3 because it has lots of parts and it's a little bit more complex to put together. So I would not recommend this for a beginner. First of all, it's expensive and you don't want to mess it up. If you are a scale model builder that's been doing this, let's say for at least a year, you will be able to put it together, no problems. How well you will be able to put it together, it depends on your skills, but I would rank it as a level 4. So, but you didn't come to this channel to see me talk all the time. So let us jump on in, or jump in. Behold, the LOCKHEED P-38 FG Lightning from TAMIYA. This is a beautiful airplane that was released last year, and as you can see from the bottom price tag, it's pretty expensive. But it is a very good example of this aircraft. So what do you see on the box? Well, you see the art. Well, obviously, duh. The wingspan is 330 millimeters, the fuselage length is 240 millimeters, and the aircraft itself is in 1/48 scale. I particularly like the fact that it has all these rigging antennas, which would be really nice to put on with those flexible wires from MiG. Anyway, this is how it looks on the side, and here and here, you can see very nice detail on the cockpit. Here and on the back there's basically nothing. So let's open this box up, shall we? Well, in the box we have a bunch of stuff. We got a bunch of parts and they're pretty nice. So I'll just unpack them from their little plastic bags. Wow. And we'll take a look at individual sprues. We have, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 screws, and we got some balls. If you lose your balls, you got the balls. You got, oh, anyway, we'll come to that. So let's just, so here we have the top portion of the fuselage, and it's pristine. I'll just take you closer so you can see the absolute detail on the surface. TAMIYA is actually not shy with detail. I mean, you can see that there's a lot of detail on the panels, on the surfaces. There's lots of rivets, and it's just beautiful, nice, clean plastic. This next sprue is a bottom portion of the fuselage, I believe, where this landing gear goes, and then we have some cockpit details, which are, of course, absolutely fantastic. And you get a little pilot here. So we'll start with the guy, you know, the severed head and the torso, but it is beautiful. And you can see the mask off and everything, and there's the little interior detail with all the switches and knobs and gear levers and dials and whatever they have. There's just so much detail. The attachment points are nice and thin, and they're nicely spaced out, so when you come here you can snip them out pretty well. Like with all TAMIYA kits, you won't have a problem with cleaning and sanding this stuff at all. And here we have the two cockpit instruments, and yeah, and then of course the general cockpit area where everything kind of sits inside. On this bigger sprue, we see that we have 4 fuselages, for, you know, one for each side to make the whole aircraft work. We also have some control surfaces, some landing gear stuff here and here, nose, tips of the wings. I think this might be the exhausts, and some other bunch of stuff. So let's take a closer look at this and see what's what. There is lots of nice detail, very shiny plastic, very kind of thick plastic for the most part. We got some tips of the wings here and nose with the holes for the guns. We got some landing gear here. It's very nicely engineered. And of course the fuselage itself. There is no lack of detail whatsoever, so you can just see all the little rivets and the panel lines and the gaps. And of course the tail. See the little hatch door, service door, I believe this might be. I think these two are the inner sides of the fuselage because they are attached together. And of course the other one, which is basically the same. Well, this sprue, as you can see, contains more wing surfaces, like the tail wing surface, and of course the top. Oh, actually this might be the bottom because there's the lights here. And of course the 2 propellers, beautifully cast, absolutely fantastic. And we got also 2 polycaps that go on to the propeller 6 so the things can turn. And we got some seats, well, a seat, not a seat. It's and the machine guns for where they go, where the nose is. So let's take a look closely, shall we? So here we have a close-up shot of the machine gun, the guns and the seat. Even the seat has very good detail. It's just a seat, and if you plop down a pilot, I ain't gonna see this, but you know, if you don't put a pilot down, you're gonna be able to see the padding on the seat, which is oh so romantic. Okay, so here we have some other bits and bobs that go inside the cockpit, and this is why I said that this is the bottom, because there's supposed to be like a light here. I believe this might be on the bottom of the airplane. I mean, what's the use of putting it on the top, right? And then we have the back control surface that links the 2 fuselages together. And here we have some more covers and plates that go on top of the aircraft. So see, very good. Well, here we have the 2 sprues that are in one big bag. And they have the external components for the aircraft, more bits and bobs that go all around the aircraft, and we'll just take a look at individual screws up close and personal. So here we have, well, we'll start with the tires and the wheels, because they have nice thread. You can see the brakes and all the fine detail that you can expect from a TAMIYA model of this price point, because 62 euros is not that cheap. For the tail section, we got some antennas, and we got the fuel tank on the bottom. They have like different types of fuel tank depending on what version I think you're going for. So there's a little bit of an option. Some panels for the fuselage. This might actually be for the internal where the wheels go, but I'm not really sure. I have to look at the instructions. Here is also another big sprue that contains some supporting elements of the aircraft, along with control surfaces, and of course this little T section that connects the two fuselage halves together. And it has some very delicate pieces like these little bars. This might be some hydraulics or some sort of supports for the wheels and on each side, so you have to be pretty careful with this one, especially me, because this is going back on the shelf. I don't want to mess it up. And let's just take a quick look up close and personal so that you'll see what I'm talking about. See, these are very, very tiny, very delicate pieces, and even the tiniest pieces have very good detail. There's no flash like you would expect, not from something that this expensive. And by all accounts, this might be actually a very accurate model. I'm not an expert on aircraft or motorcycles or cars. I just like the kits, I like the box art, I like the parts, and I fairly enjoy when I put stuff together. So I'm not really that much into the history of the vehicles and planes and tanks. I just enjoy building them sometimes when I'm not outside hiking. I have various interests, sue me. Okay, so as you can see, here are some details of the aircraft. My camera is zooming out and in. It's kind of annoying, but you know, it is what it is. So this is the T section we were talking about. Well, I was talking about before. Very nice. All right, so here we have the clear parts, and the clear parts are the very clear, crystal clear. And I don't want to put my fingerprints all over the canopies because, you know, I don't wanna. But these are very good indeed. Let's take a look at the paper so you can see what I'm talking about. Let's just see if you see texts on the bottom. It's not distorted at all. So, you know, the clarity is just fantastic. You can see inside, even if you're gonna be closing up the cockpit area where you won't be able to display it. I mean, look at that. You can still clearly read and see inside. This is really just a testament to the engineering and the quality that you get. But then again, this is a very expensive model, so you would expect something like this. The three balls are basically there to weigh down the aircraft because it's tail heavy, so it doesn't go backwards. That's basically all that it is to it. And then we have, of course, the instruction manual with the paint scheme and some decals, which we're going to take a look at, and a bunch of just propaganda from TAMIYA for tools and such. Yeah. So the decals. All right. So these are the decals that you get inside the box for this aircraft, and of course they're turned out upside down, dummy. Okay, so you got some angry teeth on the front, you got some stars, well, some grill options, and some very shiny decals for reflective surfaces. You got the belt and belt buckles along with the instrument panels, and you know, just take a look, you'll see. So let's just slowly pan so you can see them all. They're nice prints, and if they're zoomed in very close, you can see, hopefully, you can almost read out the text. All right, so here we have the masking film, masking tape, which has printed on the various contours of the aircraft, especially for the canopies, because of course you have to paint the frame of the windows. But unfortunately, this is not a cutout. As you can see, it's just traced on the paper, and you still need to use a very sharp blade and a very steady hand to cut the shapes out, which is in a way good, but in another way bad. I mean, for 62 euros, you would expect this to be just peel it off, put it on there, and just, you know, be done with it. So this will require some very steady hand and probably some specialized tools to cut at least these circles out. Because, you know, doing it by hand, going all around, sometimes the edges will fray and you're gonna just have a horrible day. But it's better than nothing, I guess, so yeah, that's what you get. Then we have the paint scheme for the aircraft, which is a fold-out thing. It's a pretty big one, so let me just prepare the stuff. So this is one version, B version of the Lightning. You can see the paint scheme, how it's supposed to be. How you're supposed to mask everything, and this is 1-to-1. This is actually pretty cool because you can just put the aircraft like on and you can exactly see where everything needs to be, especially when you're doing the masking for the camouflage, the two-tone paint color, you know, where the wiggly lines go if you really want to be accurate. So that's pretty cool. And of course, the other side contains the other version, A. It's mainly to do with the decals. The paint is basically the same, apart from the nose cones on the propellers. But yeah, you got the olive drab, USAF, and natural gray on this side. And what's the only one? The same. Olive drab, natural gray, and sky blue. Okay, so basically you have just 2 colors here and 3 colors on the other side, but yeah. And of course we come to the all-important manual. Like every kit has its manual, and this one is no exception. We have the basic information up front, and you can see that there's quite a lot of paints involved in painting this aircraft. Of course, not all paints are used. Some are optional, but most are. So it comes like in this booklet type of form. Well, there we go, guys. Thank you so very much for watching. If you have been, thank you for liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing. And like always, I'll see you again in the next one. Bye-bye.